Hey, Bernie, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Beatles. How are you doing?
Doing well. Been looking forward to this all day, my friend.
Yeah, me too. It's when we had this idea to do this, it was just something that I thought not only that you and I would enjoy doing, but the rest of the community would.
Oh, absolutely. I think you hit it. You really hit it on the head there too, because our building this community is about community. So, Carlos, yes, he's first here with us. I see we have 7 people watching already. So, welcome in everybody to the pilot episode where no pilots were harmed, as you see, of Diamonds and Dice. There's Dwayne Martz. Hey, Dwayne, good to see you, and everybody else. So, Bernie, we should talk about what this we hope this will be, and it was actually your idea originally. Why don't you take it? Why don't you go ahead and take the ball and hit it out of the park here?
Well, I was sitting around just doing my thing in front of the computer one day, and what I was thinking about was those chats that you do, those famous chin wags that you do late on a Saturday evening or a Friday evening when you start talking with everybody in the community, and it goes back and forth. It lasts a long time. And those were some of the most interesting conversations about baseball simulations and sports in general and other things that I've experienced in a long time. And what popped into my head was that a baseball simulation show that we could do where we could sort of formalize the Beatles chinwag episodes and put them on a monthly basis on YouTube and involve the community with it where we can invite people on, not just people that like Dave Cook or something who has a company that, and he would talk about his company. I don't want to have those kind of guests. I want to have the actual players, the guys that play these games, and the guys that provide content on YouTube, like Legends or Steve Tate or Al Red Sox fan or people like that, and find out what makes them tick and why they do what they do. And along with having some regular people on, guys that just sit down in their own office and play this stuff by themselves, and they don't play it on YouTube. And I'd like to hear what their story is and why they play what they play. And
Completely agree. And I think having irregular people like Big Clue would be really good. Because you talked about regular, we need some irregulars here as well. So, Jamie, welcome in. Mike Silva, Big Clue, Buckshot, everybody. So there we go. Mike says first long dart of the series. That's right. So the other thing you notice is the dice part of it. So, Bernie and I were having a bit of an old chinwag, if you will, earlier this evening, and it's really, really important. We don't want this to just be like a digital focused show. So we're hoping that we can encourage some people down the line. Hopefully, it's not necessary to be on mic, but we're hoping that you will. And let me shut off Discord here because it's beeping in my ear. To have we want to encourage people to talk about their projects, and we want to, cards and dice. So there's not like PC's better than cards and dice or anything like that. This is about, I guess, really celebrating this our national pastime in the way that we do it, as Bernie has said. And it's really, really fun. And I love this idea of his because, and what we're all doing as community and the 2 Discords and really the third with Legends, I guess, too, is that this is a solo hobby, as Bernie's told us so many times. And yet here we are as this amazing community, largely. And I mean, the program is going to be largely centered around baseball simulation, but, certainly there might be some folks that have a really great basketball project they want to talk about, or football or hockey, whatever. That'll be fun too. It's going to be pretty free form. Some other things that we're going to do. So it's going to be monthly, as Bernie said. So this pilot episode is on my channel. So in March, it'll be on Bernie's. We're just going to kind of go back and forth. And there's going to be little contests here and there, but we're not going to announce when they are. So there'll be trivia contests, things like that, with prizes, things like that. It'll be fun, not anything exorbitant, but I think it'll be just fun. Maybe we'll do some, there'll be baseball centric things, obviously, and go from there. So it'd be I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's a way to give to the community as well as getting community involved. So if you guys find that this is something you like, and I know many have liked the sort of informal chin wags that we've done, let people know. And this isn't about Bernie and I, trying to build our channels. I mean, if it's not about that. It is about creating a stronger community and having people involved. Would love to have Mike Silva on some night to talk about, do his ballparks, maybe even share a screen, show a bit of what he does. Have if we can get Steve Tate and Legends at the same time, it would be amazing. We're hoping to do maybe a show about the kinds of things they set up, cross era play, because Bernie, right? Most people do season replays, and I think that would be fun.
One of the people you had mentioned, Mike Silva. Mike is doing his project that everybody knows about that's probably listening here, so I don't have to tell you about it, where he's playing every game of the 1986 season using various different cards and dice games.
Right.
And I think Mike would be a perfect interview to tell us what he likes about Payoff Pitch, what he likes about APA, the different games he uses when he does his replay, because quite frankly, in the last 6 months, he's probably played more cards and dice games than I've played in the last 6 years. Same
here. And of course, we have Dwayne Martz too, and everybody knows about that great 1961 project. But guys, this is kind of going out into beyond YouTube and beyond our little community too. So Bernie's been putting this out on some other social media too. So for the people lurking that may have been coming in from that, we welcome you too, and we hope that you'll consider being part of the sports gaming community. Again, it's strong. It's a lot of passionate people in here. We love what we're doing, and I mean, what can we say? So Bernie, you had come up with a fun little topic, and maybe we can, if somebody wants to come on, let me, we will so freeform this that I'm just going to copy the link and put it in chat. Somebody wants to come on, please feel free. So we'll have fun. So Bernie, you talked about that we would maybe talk about just sort of mention our 3 favorite digital baseball sims and then go from there. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea. And since the link is up, anybody would like to come on and mention their 3 top digital sims, it'd be great. When we were talking right before the show, we sort of agreed that 2 of the 3 would be the same, Out of the Park Baseball and Action PC Baseball. And then my 3rd one would be PC Replay Baseball, and that's sort of got a little play in our community over on Discord recently. And those would be my 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet everybody can guess what your 3rd game would be.
Exactly. So it's going to be, mine's of course APA PC Baseball for Windows. So I don't know. We should start talking about maybe what we like about the first 2, Out of the Park and Action PC Baseball. Because I think that we're gonna, we both like those games. I'll be curious to see why. So you want to kick it off there, Bernie? You're the one you're the one wearing a Mets hat, which is as shocking as me wearing a Yankees hat. But we're going to go with it. So Bernie did this graphic, guys. It's really cool. I really like it. I look like Ringo in that picture. I don't look like me. I look like Ringo. So I'm kind of happy about that. That's all right.
I don't know if I need to get my magnifying glass, but that's more like a Red Sox hat that you can't recognize because
I don't know. It looks blue and orange to me.
I don't think they can use official logos on this type of stuff. When they put it together, they'll be sued out into oblivion. So they make except I don't understand why those Apple logos are on those 2 laptops. That's a little odd.
Yeah, I'm not an Apple guy. I was like, whoa, what's that? But that's okay. We'll run with it, man. We'll run with it.
Let's talk about Out of the Park Baseball first.
All right.
And since it's version 25 will be coming up here in the next 30 days or so. The reason I play Out of the Park Baseball probably more than any other digital game, and I do it because primarily it's an easy game to learn how to play, although it's a complicated program.
Mhm.
If you want to be really good at it, you need to spend a lot of time in the back room playing around with it to figure out how things work and why things work. But if the second you download it, and you can put together a pretty good game or pretty good replay just by clicking a couple of buttons. And the best part about it for me originally was the fact that it was licensed by Major League Baseball. So it had all the logos, it had all the pictures of the parks that were things you didn't have to put in like you do for so many other games that we play. And that made it easy. And of course, when I first started out, I didn't buy it on Steam. I bought it directly from the company. And I had all sorts of problems over various seasons when they would issue updates, and you would try to update the program. And it's a pretty big program, and it's a pretty complicated program. And for me, it got messed up quite a bit. And so I discovered Steam and decided after the first couple of years to buy it through Steam. And the fact that they update it and that you can download all of Mike's parks and everything, and they handle all that stuff in the workshop, made it such an easy program to set up. That was the reason I started to play it. I continued to play it because I believe it's the most visually pleasing program outside of MLB The Show, which is not on the computer. Of course, it's on the Sony PlayStation. But I believed it was visually pleasing, which for me adds an aspect of the computer game I like. I like to see the plays visually on the field, even though it really is a text-based game. So that's primarily why I used it. And it's also very easy to, if you run fairly modern seasons, I like the fact that it has a minor league system where you can call up players to replace injured players and things like that. And it just was an easy game to play, although I did ignore all the management and money aspects of the game, because in the beginning that had me lost. And I found out it really wasn't that important part of the type of game I play anyway. So, and those are the things I liked about Out of the Park to begin with. And now that I started to stream my games, I started last April, and I started with PC Replay Baseball, which is an easy game to stream.
I remember you doing 1950's Red Sox replay on that.
And I did 1950 and 1967. And then when I started 1914, this fall, after meeting you and getting introduced to dead ball baseball, actually I did 1912 first using Action PC. But I did 1914. I wanted to use Out of the Park Baseball because I liked the program a little better. And it's such an easy game to stream on YouTube. It just flows. And before and I'll talk about PC Replay Baseball in a minute, but that's what I like most about Out of the Park Baseball. How about you?
So for me, I've been playing Out of the Park Baseball since the first edition in 1999, and it's really, really astounding how much this it's evolved into, for me, it is the premier baseball simulation, digital baseball simulation. It really, really is. That's not a knock on my second and third favorites, but the reason I believe it is number one, the price. At full price, the game is a steal. It's $40. And you get the entirety of Major League Baseball. You get minor league baseball. You get Negro League Baseball. I mean, it's incredible. It's the only baseball sim where if you want to play, the 1939 Pacific Coast League, you can do it. You want to play, the Mets AA club in 2005, you can do it. But the other thing I like too is the flexibility, because I'm not a seasoned replayer as a rule. So I like the ease by which I can mix and match teams, players from different eras, get really, really deep into the game, and create and do things that I could only have imagined that are impossible really with most other games. There are, of course, a few others that have all the seasons, like Digital Diamond Baseball and, in a sense, Baseball for Windows as well. But there are restrictions in those games. I can't set up tournaments in those games, for instance. I also, I have to give a nod to what you talked about. I mean, it's a beautiful game. It really is. Is it MLB The Show graphics? No, but it's a fantastic looking game. The animations are wonderful. There's so much to it, and when you get deep into it and put the financials aside, because you know what, they weren't part of the original game, and I don't play with them at all. Some people like to play GM. In fact, if you go on YouTube and look for out of the park baseball stuff, most of the stuff you're going to see just people and play what you love, do what you love, just kind of simming out seasons and trading people and what have you, and that's all right. But I guess for me, it's that freedom to do what I want, and now working more with the mass player import will lead to Out of the Park being the baseball sim that we're going to be using for the next edition of the McGreevy League. One of the things with McGreevy is a lot of people, well, I don't own the program. You don't have to own Action PC, but with Out of the Park Baseball, it'll be a lot of fun because it goes on sale enough. I think that, or even if you have an older version of Out of the Park Baseball, I think it's more accessible money wise. You don't have to buy all the seasons, and we'll get into that with Action PC a little bit later. But I think it's that. And again, we do have to give a nod again to Mike for not only his ballpark mod, but again, the one that doesn't get talked about enough is the uniform mod. It's the immersion factor in Out of the Park Baseball, to me, is only rivaled by one other baseball sim that comes close in terms of baseball immersion. The other thing too, I love, we all love this most stat intensive of sports, right? There's no other game out there that I can think of, at least the four major sports here in America. Nothing comes near the statistical analysis of baseball where you can make meaningful comparisons across eras. And so I love when you're running a sort of league or whatever, and Out of the Park Baseball, it's got that brilliant league newspaper and all that. And go deeper, you actually have baseball reference right in Out of the Park Baseball. So that's another big point in its favor. So that's Out of the Park. So you and I have, a couple different perspectives there. And I agree with everything you've said in terms of Out of the Park. I will just add this, and I'd like to maybe do a podcast sometime and really get people to not be afraid to speak honestly. It's the most polarizing baseball sim out there too. So, I talk to a lot of people in like Facebook groups and things like that, that they play baseball simulations and they'll say, yeah, I like Action PC, or I like, Digital Diamond or PC Replay. People either love or hate Out of the Park Baseball. There's not, yeah, I like it. I've never had that. It's like, I hate that game, or I'm absolutely crazy about it. So that's Out of the Park. What about Action PC for you, Bernie?
Well, the reason I like Action PC is because it's easy to maneuver around the program. Although it took me a little while to learn how to do import the parks and import the photos and find the photos and all those things you have to do that you don't have to do on Out of the Park Baseball. But once you get that stuff down, it's so easy to go into the menu system and do and actually individualize Action PC Baseball to make it do what you want to do. Now, you don't always get it right, and I think you have to experiment. And we're sort of doing that on Steve Tate and Big Clue's Field of Dreams League, where we're learning on a lot of the stuff as we go along. But I find it an extremely flexible program. And once again, it's also easy to use out of the box. You can download it and you can be up and playing in 5 minutes. Doesn't mean you know the program. It doesn't mean you understand the program, I think I played it for a year before I adjusted any of the settings differently than they came direct from the factory. But once you understand those things and you start to learn, it's a very deep program, much like Out of the Park Baseball. And the more you spend in the back of that program, not playing the games, but adjusting the settings and looking at the different things you can do, you can actually really customize that game so it's yours as an individual. And that's one of the biggest reasons I like to play that game.
All good reasons. So I would agree with all of those. I think too, Action PC once again fills my, this desire to, again, experiment, to do cross era play and stuff. And working at the player level in Action PC is actually easier than in Out of the Park Baseball. I will say that they're both the same as far as working at the team level. But when you get to the player level, Action PC really shines. The other thing I guess I would say about it is I like the aesthetic of it. So we like Out of the Park because it's very visually pleasing. It really is. The animations are smooth and everything. Action PC, it's got the chalkboard, which is serviceable. It's serviceable. And I don't think it's meant to be, what Out of the Park is trying to do, or even, you talked about MLB The Show. I don't think that's the idea. But the aesthetic, especially with this release now too, you get this sense of like, it's like this, it just feels baseballish, for lack of, right, because you've got like the baseball card looking things, the way the roster screens look, it reminds me of looking into, browsing for hours, through the great big hernia inducing baseball books, which most of us, Aaron's in the chat, Aaron Reed, we get the younger dudes here, but most of us here, are in our 40s, 50s, and 60s and whatever. We remember those big baseball books. And I love that about Action PC. So for years, I kind of resisted any sort of baseball sim that didn't have everything included, right? I'm a completionist and I want that freedom, right? Well, I'm still back home across the pond, as it were. And it was 2 a.m. and I was desperate for some baseball. It was the off season, and found Al Red Sox fan. And he's playing this thing called Action PC Baseball. I think this is back in 2016 or 2017, something like that. And I'm watching, I'm like, okay, this looks kind of cool, but I have Out of the Park Baseball. And so remember, guys, this was back when Out of the Park Baseball just had the little ponds moving around, right? So I'm thinking, well, and that's exactly what I thought. I'm like, well, the chalkboard on Out of the Park Baseball looks nicer. So I'm going to stick with that. Next time, I'm like, what? I should look at that again. Looked at it again. And I'm getting drawn more deeply into Action PC Baseball until I'm finding that like I'm just like buying decades, or I'm buying a season here and there and whatever. Till today, I've bought everything as far as Major League for that every season, plus all the stuff that Dave offers, except the 2 All-Star games. I will say this about Action PC Baseball: Dave Cook, like many of us, is great at starting projects and pretty bad at finishing them, and that's not a slam. There's only 2 All-Star games on there, so if you're lucky and you have everything for the game, you can recreate the All-Star games. There's only 1933 and 1971. It's like, Dave, there's a whole bunch of All-Star games, even some years where they had 2. But the other thing I like about it is, and I'm gonna zero in on one of the products available at Action PC just for a moment here, that people know what I'm gonna say, and it's the Baseball History Collection. So the closest I'd ever seen something like that is in Strat PC, and it's called the Career Historical Disc. And so when I played Strat PC for a little while, I'm kind of like, yeah, this is sort of cool. You've got every season of baseball history. The problem with it is it's just their career stats. And with that then comes a lot of inaccuracies and a lot of problems. How, players get, right, you have the rookie year kind of pulling the player down, and a final year and whatever. And so you got this whole career, but you didn't get this sense of how did the player play, accuracy. It just really wasn't very good. So with the baseball history collection, you have every retired player in baseball, every one of them. And it takes that peak slice of a player's career. So the longer the career, the shorter the peak slice. You get the player at his best, which I love. And to be able to create what if projects without diving into the morass of all the seasons, the baseball history collection opens up yet another world of possibilities. The first McGreevy was done using the baseball history collection. There's an idea I have at a sort of blind team draft that are created actually by the AI and Action PC that I want to try down the line. I showed how to do that on a podcast or a broadcast that I did, and the AI managers do really, really well. I like the fact that you can, put in your own photos, which is really nice. So a lot of people are using Mike's Parks. And of course, you can have great photographs, whatever. There's so much to like. But the number one thing, what caused me to eventually buy every damn thing for Action PC Baseball is Dave Cook's customer support. There is nobody in the sim business, in the digital sim business, at least. I've heard good things about some of the guys that do cards and dice. I wouldn't know. I can't speak to that. The Pocket Pennant Run guys are pretty amazing. But the customer service. So as everybody knows, this year's release of Action PC Baseball wasn't the best, on opening day or release day or whatever. And Dave Cook literally was emailing me back and forth. We were up until, I think, 1:30 my time, 12:30 his time, Central Time Zone, trying to work the issue. Couldn't get the damn thing to run. Now, since I have everything, I bought just the basic game. So the $29 version, whatever, still has everything in it except the extra seasons. Next morning, I wake up, get an email from Dave, and the attachment was the deluxe version, which is about $20 more expensive. And I said, thank you so much, Dave. I said, but you made a mistake. I said, I only ordered the basic package. And he said, have fun. He said, no. And I said, I'll pay the extra. He said, have fun, no extra charge. I'm sorry, but I could not imagine APBA or Strat doing something like that, or PC Replay. I just don't imagine it ever happening. And so no matter what, every year, Action PC Baseball is a must-buy for me, even just for all the things we both mentioned, but that customer support. Dave gives a shit about his customers. And any of you out there that want to dive into digital baseball and you're not sure, you can with all confidence buy Action PC Baseball, and you have just amazing support mechanism. Now we get to our thirds, which are different. So shall I or shall you?
Well, before we do that, there was one thing I left out. I love the printed reports that you can do with Action PC Baseball. I'll sit there and I do mostly, unlike you, I do mostly season replays. So I'll be 2-3 months into a season replay, whatever.
Right.
And I'll sit there and I'll be printing out these reams of reports because I want to sit there and stare at the statistics to see what's happening. Because I only really play one team's games and I let the AI play out the team, anybody other than the Red Sox games. I do play all 162 Red Sox games, but I don't play any other games. And I love the printed reports that you're able to do with Action PC Baseball.
Oh, those are brilliant. Yeah.
I wish Out of the Park they have wonderful reports, but most of them are on the screen. You can't print them. You can print a few of them, but most of them are not printable unless you want to do a screenshot. It just isn't there. But my third game that I play is PC Replay Baseball, and quite frankly, it is almost my favorite for a couple of reasons.
Oh wow! Okay.
First off, it's an entirely a direct port of their cards and dice game, so it's like playing cards and dice, but it has a digital feel to it. It's not like APBA Go or whatever, where you just have the cards on the screen and you roll some fake dice and you look up and it showed, and the computer looks up the result and prints it on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
It has just enough animation, so you think you're playing an animated digital game where it has the photos of the players and it has
Mm-hmm.
the photos of the parks, and it runs the players around the bases, and the players light up in the outfield or the infield, depending on where the ball is hit. So it does have just enough animation to make it interesting, and I think it shows really well when you do a broadcast using PC Replay Baseball. One of the things I like is it's not a closed engine game, it's an open engine game, so you can see why after rolling, and you can roll your own dice if you like. You can see why the play happens the way it plays. The fielders have range, that you can see the fielders throwing ratings, their speed ratings when on the bases, and it's just to me it's a fun game to play. It has some downsides. It doesn't have all the seasons, so that's a really negative as far as I'm concerned. Well, some of us wanted to play Mike Silver's 86 season that he's doing, but they don't have the 86 season. They're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be getting it soon. So, I mean, let's face it, 1986 was a great year in Major League Baseball. Why wouldn't a major game company have the 86 season available for its customers? I'll never understand that.
Good question. And I think that's something, just to interject a moment, would be a great talk on a future broadcast, because there's another big company out there in cards and dice that creates artificial demand. So yeah, it would be interesting to talk about that. But anyhow, continue, man, please.
Well, so I like the game because not only does it play well, but you can get into its behind the scenes, and you can manipulate the rosters. It does as played lineups as well as any team available. I'll never forget when I first started to play it. This was really funny. I wanted to play the 67 season. Now, I played the 67 season last year, but when I first bought the game several years ago, I was playing the 67 season, and that was the year that Tony Conigliaro was beamed in August of that year, and the Red Sox went on to win the pennant. They lost the World Series in 7 games. And I've always wanted to know what would happen if Tony Conigliaro wasn't beamed and he played the whole season. So I'm plugging right along, playing the season. I get through April, May, June, July. I'm into August, and I'm playing in August, and I'm playing as played lineups. And I get to the day after Conigliaro was beamed, and I figured he wouldn't be in the as played lineup. I'd just go to the roster and put him into the lineup, right?
Right.
Well, he's not on the roster. I can't find him anywhere. It took me a year to figure out how to put him on the roster, and I finally did it last year. But you can manipulate that game, and for the season replays I like to change things up. I'll play as played lineups. However, I pick my seasons for a reason, and the reason is, being a frustrated Red Sox fan, I have a myriad of years that I can play where I'd like to change something about that year because we blew it.
Right.
Whether it would be 1948, 49, 50, 67, 75, 72 I missed, 78, 86, 88, 1990. I mean, it was not till 2004 that they didn't make any mistakes and finally won a World Series. So I have all those years I'm trying to fix. And what I do is play the as played lineups. But if players get hurt, or if something goes wrong, I want to go into that game and change that, so possibly I can change history. I think the funniest thing I ever did in one of these was this past season. when I played the 1950 Red Sox season because Ted Williams was injured at the All-Star game. He broke his elbow hitting it against the scoreboard in Detroit, I think he was. Anyway, to make a long story short, he didn't play for most of the second half of the season. The Red Sox lose the 1950 pennant by about 8 games.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to play 1950, and I go in there, and lo and behold, I've learned how to manipulate it. So when the day came, Williams came off the roster, I just went into the back room and put him back on.
There you go.
So he was able to play. But like so many of those time travel movies we all watch on TV, no matter how many times I go back, I can't change history. And they still lost by more than 8 games.
Ouch. But you're not going to give up, Bernie, right?
But I'm not going to give up. The only season that I was successful in changing this past year was 1967 when they won the World Series playing PC replay baseball. And for those people that know me, replaying these seasons over and over again, I will never have to replay 67 again because I finally did it. So in my rotation this year, 1967 doesn't appear for the first time. Anyway, that's my
All right.
PC replay story. What about you on your third game?
So mine is APBA PC Baseball for Windows, as everybody knows. So actually, what got me into that game was a different baseball game. It was old time baseball, which I love, which I'll talk about some night. And I've shown it here a few times. Old time baseball is wonderful, right? You've got, every season from 1871 to 1981, including the Union Association, American Association, Federal League, Players League, all that fun stuff. You can mix, match, do what you want. And you had, you could choose between either Mel Allen or Kurt Gowdy announcing the game. So pro tip, choose Mel Allen because he says, way more names. So I'm really, really into it. I'm playing old time baseball and loving it. And, just quickly, old time baseball originally was just meant to be this add-on. So what we would think of now as DLC, it was just an add-on originally to Tony La Russa Baseball 3. And it proved so popular that Stormfront Studios, alas, eaten up by the evil empire known as EA, bought them up, and that was it, out of business. That it actually came out as its own product, old time baseball. And I remember, so you guys remember, you go back into the day into Babbage's, or if you're in Europe, like in Ireland or England or wherever, you went to Smith's or Electronics Boutique, whatever. I remember picking up old time baseball, and it was just this beautiful, nice, heavy manual in it. But when you opened it, there's a little music box inside that played "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and I would love. I've got to go on eBay sometime just to find it, just to have that packaging. So anyhow, I'm playing it, and a college friend of mine is like, "Hey, you know what? You should try APBA baseball for Windows," because we used to play some APBA. In the student union as undergrads. I'm like, what, they have a computer game? He said, well, yeah, not only that, but Ernie Harwell announces the game. And he said, I was listening to that. He said, when you hear Harwell, you're just going to be blown away. So, I bought it. And at that time it came, it was a separate product, but it also had the Fan Park Encyclopedia. And I'm listening to a game, and all of a sudden, right, you hear Ernie Harwell, well, hello again, everybody, blah, 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 blah. And I was hooked. Instantly hooked, because I've always been a bit of a computer nerd and everything, and that's AI is such a common thing now. But that game, that almost that entire game is artificial intelligence down to the crowd. Even it's pretty amazing. Had the first reactive crowd in any digital baseball sim, of course, the announcing, everything like that, right? And that Ernie would remember what your team was doing through the season, keep track of hitting streaks, things like that. Then it got to using the Fan Park Encyclopedia. You could import from the encyclopedia any season in baseball or any team from baseball down to the player level. And that was it. So for me, it was the world opened up completely. The other thing that I love about it, it's a damn good baseball engine. As Steve Tate talked about a number of times, we were just talking generally about APBA and Strat is, while there's that huge rivalry between, players of each game or whatever, they're both doing something right because they've both been in business forever, right? You know, Appa's 10 years older, and you know, than Strat, but they're still in business, and it was great. It wasn't like rolling the dice, and I was kind of glad. I was looking because I was doing a lot of cards and dice baseball, and I was kind of migrating toward, you know, PC baseball because, you know, I'm you know, in school, working, everything like that. I graduated in '92, so it was more about that immersion and the fact then that I'm like, wait a minute, I could just put on a game, do other things, and it was like having a baseball game on in the background. And you know, like yourself, I have such great memories of, you know, listening to. For me, it was hearing KMOX out of St. Louis at night, you know, really strong signal, what have you. Listening to baseball at night, or just listening to baseball on the radio. You know, I remember this good friend of mine, and you know, we would, you know, during baseball season, put my, you know, big, I had like this big radio, stick it in my in the window of my apartment, and we'd be out like in the parking lot having a catch, listening to Pirate games, and I could sort of just, you know, I had that, and a damn fine baseball game to boot. And to this day, I mean, even listening to the commentary in MLB The Show, it starts to repeat itself. To this day, I still hear new things from Ernie Harwell. I've read a lot about how the thing was put together, but you know, and how many hours and hours he put into that game, and what they did to make the magic come together. And there are still things I'm like, I've never heard that before. And so I love it. You know, and for those of you who have Baseball for Windows, an older version, or if you can buy an older version, there is a way to find the Fan Park Encyclopedia, and you can create your own teams, and it's amazing. You know, it only goes up to 1997, but I rarely play any baseball after 1997 as far as any cards and dice or digital. So for me, it's perfect. There's just so much to do there. You know, there's not really any animation, anything like that, but it really captures the immersion of listening to a game on radio, and you can manage. You can do what you want. So that's why I love it, you know, and always will. A lot of it is nostalgia, but it's also a very, very good baseball simulation. So that's my, you know, a lot of my reasons for that being my other favorite is that freedom. And I had tinkered around with doing McGreevy, the next McGreevy, actually in Baseball for Windows, but I really, since most people don't play that game, or like yourself, find it a little bit intimidating because of all the modules and everything, I decided against that. But I do want to do some sort of project with it down the line.
Well, I think one of the subjects of one of our upcoming shows should be you teaching me how to do a season replay on Baseball for Windows. If I can't do it, I'm sure lots of other people can't do it.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's some other people here that have it. Aaron, no, it's way more than 6 to 8 hours of material. It's so Aaron, he said every name. Well, back then it would have been, well, actually, no, Total Baseball was out. So every name of every, you know, player, whatever, in Total Baseball, most of the first names too. Also think of every number that you think about in baseball, right? You know, so if somebody's saying 345, Ernie would have had to say 345 or 320 or 287, stolen base numbers, home run numbers, whatever. So there were numbers. Then they actually worked in like for his broadcast. So the game itself's not just a narrator. It's actually, there's an AI running there too. So what will happen is that, and again, this is 1994, 1995 technology. Using that game situation to trigger what Ernie's going to say next. So there's this huge, and you know, Todd B, who's with us tonight, we've talked about if there was a way we could unpack that, you know, and put it into an AI program, then you would have, you know, Ernie Harwell, boom, as you know, they could go forward with it, or whatever. But no, Aaron, it's far more than that. In fact, Mel Allen worked on just old time baseball for a few months, I believe it was. If you guys saw the, I think it was Saber that did the interview with Don Daglow, who was the guy behind, the chief developer of old time baseball. And he talked about how exacting Mel Allen was in that game, that if he felt what he said he wanted, he would, want to do takes and takes and takes. And Mel Allen did not as much as Ernie Harwell did, but, yes, it's more than 6 or 8 hours. So yeah, the proprietary files, Todd, and unfortunately, no way to unpack them, because I would love to get into the guts of it and see how it works. Feed Ernie's voice into an AI program after kind of seeing how it works, and but I don't think Apple would be very happy with that, nor would the estate of Ernie Harwell. But I love the game. I know it's one that, when I do it on the channel, if I'm off work, like Mondays, I want to start getting back to the thing I used to do, Bernie, where I would just run a baseball for Windows game during the day, because a lot of guys are at work, and they just maybe want to have something on in the background, and I think it does really well with that. And got a few people in it. A few weeks ago we did a little tribute to Robbie Wartburg, and he discovered that game through my channel, through the Super Bowl broadcast of 2019. He loved that game. Aaron Reed, another person here who loves the game, and there are a couple other folks like you that want to play it, but just you're having getting your head around it. So we'll do that sometime and show you. It's actually, once you get the hang of it, you'll be playing it like a piano beautifully, or whatever.
I appreciate that. It would have been nice to have someone come on, and one of our listeners, so to speak, in our community, tell us what their 3 favorite games are. But Mike Silva must have a lot of pull in this community, since he has led the charge from no one wanting to come on. This is what he put on the chat. Let's all leave him hanging on the first episode, like how in hockey they make the rookies skate out for warm-ups by themselves for a few laps.
There you go.
So I guess we're going to take these first few laps by ourselves, which is okay.
Fun. That's fun.
But I have some ideas for some future episodes that if you want to discuss that, or we want to continue with the sim talk, whichever you want to do is okay with me.
All freeform. Legends, one of the guys we talked about earlier in here. So guys, last night, Legends kicked off his big football project that he has labored more than Hercules, and turned out an amazing product. So do check that out. Franchise Stars Baseball League will be coming up soon. Hopefully we can get, coordinate when we can get Legends and Steve Tate on to talk about the way they approach baseball sims, because both of them doing amazing things. And I was talking to Steve yesterday in the Discord, and it would be probably the most astounding digital baseball project ever if somehow these 2 guys could collaborate on something. So hopefully we can. I've had Legends on a broadcast before. It was a lot of fun, and that was it shocked everybody that night, because I'm like, yeah, man, talk about your football thing, and it was like you could hear the hush in the chat. So, but it's really brilliant work. Got to see a bit of it last night, and good stuff. And I plan to watch more. So I encourage you guys. So Dwayne Martz, Dwayne, why don't you come on for a few minutes? Why don't you talk about Digital Diamond? I think it'd be great. Why don't you come on, man?
Well, we only have about 12 more minutes, because we promised each other this would go on only an hour.
Well,
but we'd love to have Dwayne on if he'd like to come on. Some of the things I'd like to do.
He's the guru of Digital Diamond. That's why I thought bring him on for a few minutes.
I think he's good enough to come on for an entire episode, because we got a lot to learn about Digital Diamond from Dwayne.
Well, he's eating right now, so we'll save that for down the road then.
You got it. Some of the things I'd like to see us do, and maybe we can end the show by talking about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
As most of the people in our audience at this at this point in time are members of the Field of Dreams Baseball League, because we've been we get on Discord and talk baseball all day, 7 days a week. It's an amazing phenomenon we've been up to. But we're coming towards the end of the season, and right about the time our second episode will go on, and this just popped into my head, should be the Field of Dreams Year 2 draft. And that might make for an interesting episode to have the draft on the show, and have Steve Tate and Clue on the show talking about what the league is all about and spread the word to people that may not be aware of it. And
That'd be great.
Doing the draft live, I'd feel like we were on ESPN covering Major League Baseball.
There we go. We would need Heidi though. Is that it's always talking about? I think it's Heidi was her name with MLB Network. We need to have her.
Well, we could. She used to do the Red Sox games before MLB hired her.
We need eye candy, Bernie. Let's face it.
Well, it isn't you and I can tell you
exactly. Yeah. So, guys, also, I think that's a great idea. I'd also like us to get into some kind of meaningful debate, but good conversation about let's not be afraid and encouraging people in the community to talk about things you don't like about baseball sims, to talk about maybe some not so good experiences, because I see now we peaked at 24, we have 22 people watching, and what would be nice is for these chats as we get other people on board with us and stuff like that and talking, to make this where people can go away saying, wow, I didn't know about this baseball sim, or I didn't know you could do that, or wow, I didn't know that that sucked. I mean, to be honest, but as Bernie said, we really want this to be community football or community. Yeah, I was just reading which episode will cover football. The one that's second Tuesday of next week, Buckshot. No, we are going to do that. Yeah, we might have a Stratomatic. Why not? I mean, it's, there's guys out there, we want to get cards and dice people in there. And Todd B, we've got to get you a mic, because you're the guy in Discord typing away, and we've got to figure out a way to get you a little $10 mic that you can slap on and say hi to everybody. So it's mainly going to be baseball, but I think that it would be nice to have, because we can say, well, the dice part can be just wow, that hockey game seems dicey. I don't know, whatever. But I think it would be fun to have Legends on here to talk about his project. Todd B, even typing till he gets a mic. He does a lot of basketball. Carlos Yaz is a big college basketball fan. That's his big thing. Mike Silva's a hockey fan. So while it's going to be baseball, mostly baseball, I don't want to shut people out and say, well, sorry, you play football, hockey, or basketball. We're not going to talk about that here. So I don't know. But Bernie has done his own research, and there's other research and numbers out there that show that more people sim baseball than anything. Partially, I think, because it's the easiest game to put into a format, in a digital cards and dice format, as opposed to the other team sports, the more offensive ones, what have you. We can talk about that another time. I would also like to get into the open and closed engine thing some night, because I hear that bandied about all the time, and maybe talk about that. Trivia contest, but we're not going to let you know when, guys. It's going to be random, and we're never going to say, oh, tonight or tomorrow night we're going to have a trivia contest to be here. But it will happen, and actual prizes, stuff like that. So we hope you'll join us. The next one is going to be on Bernie's channel in March. Yes, Bernie? Yes.
Sometime in March. We don't know when, but since we talk every day on Discord, not only will we pick a date together, but we'll also hopefully set up a couple of guests that will arrive, and you'll hear somebody other than the two of us chatting.
Yeah. So think of this as it's when I say our broadcast, it's everybody in this community. So you're most welcome. Legends, he says, couple minutes behind. Appreciate the kind words. Always, man. So this is our show, just like the McGreevy Discord is our Discord, and I'm sure Steve would agree the same with the Baseball Geek Squad. That this is our community, and we want more people to come in. And so, Bernie's efforts in getting this out into other social media, especially in Facebook, and that where a larger demographic is going to be than something like TikTok, I think is great. And so we're hoping that this grows, that the community grows, that it will be such that maybe by season 3 of Fields of Dreams, we have 40 owners instead of 24, which 24 is great. So it's yours as well as ours. And we hope that, that you'll come on. Yeah, Bernie?
That's it. And I think we can wrap it up here. I want to thank everybody for listening to our first show. This is a pilot episode, so the format may change, and some of the things we talked about may not come into our vision, but other things will. And I
Yeah.
think we're going to have a good time doing this. And I hope anyway that the rest of the community chimes in with some of their ideas, and I hope they realize it's their show too, not just ours.
Exactly. And as Legend says here, he says, just enjoy doing it, guys. And that's really what this is about. We're not pros. We're not broadcasters, whatever. But Sean, he's wishing us good luck. Thank you, Sean. Really, really appreciate it. We are really kind of flying by wire here, or whatever, by the seat of our pants, however you want to call it. So yeah. So Bernie, we are definitely going to come in under an hour because I can't think of anything else to say. Guys, next time, even if you don't want to come on, Mike, come on, talk in the chat about projects that you're doing. And I'm going to put a special note out there to Cards and Dice guys, which I don't think we stress this enough, Bernie. This is not just about digital diamond, or this is not just about digital baseball or digital sports replays. It's about also Cards and Dice. And, so we'd really like to get the Cards and Dice guys getting on here, either in chat or on mic, talking about their projects. Please, please do. This is for everybody. And there's not one. For a while, it's probably going to focus heavily on digital just because the Cards and Dice guys tend to be a little bit more reticent. That's all it is. But I'm going to count on Bernie's expertise because he has Bernie, how many baseball sims, digital and Cards and Dice, roughly would you say you have? Because you're like the statesman here, buddy.
Baseball games, probably about 50 or 60.
50 or 60. So, yeah, Bernie's going to be guiding a lot of those conversations. Believe me, right now I'm playing, Pocket Pennant Run mostly and a couple other Cards and Dice games. But, after coming back to it after a couple decades, I'm far more noob. I'm such a noob. So, yeah. So, Legend Sports Universe says he may have to dust off status pro. All right. Bernie, I guess that's it, guys. Thank you for coming in tonight. And for the people who lurked tonight, we peaked out at 24, and there's not 24 people in the chat. I hope that you'll come back, that you'll spread the word that, hey, all these years I've been rolling dice or I've been playing, this or that digital baseball game, and there's a whole community where I can feel welcome. And that's what it's about. And while we will get into some topics where there's going to be some difference of opinions, I promise you we're never going to let it get nasty. This is a place where we want people, how about it, Bernie, to feel safe, just like they do in our Discords and at the games that we do. It's a place where you can come, leave the politics, leave religion, leave any other stuff at the door, and let's talk about a hobby that we all love. Absolutely.
Well, thanks, Beatles. It's been fun.
Bernie, thank you. Guys, thank you. And we'll still do informal chin wags here, every once in a while. We'll still do those on this channel. But I really, really want to kind of focus on what Bernie's great idea here. So sometime in March on Bernie's channel, please subscribe. If you have not subscribed, it's Bernard Strom's Sports Replays. You can just type that into to YouTube. Please subscribe to Bernie's channel. All kinds of great stuff. It's like hanging out with super knowledgeable baseball fan at Fenway, and it's just perfect in every way. PQ Ripper, haven't seen you in a while, pal. Sneaks in. So we're gonna see there. Now he's not so ninja, Bernie. I've got him up on the screen. How you doing, bud? It's good to see you, PQ. All right, guys. Bernie, you want to take the last minute?
Listen, like I said, I enjoy talking with everybody when we're talking on Discord. I'm enjoying the community, and I think this show will just be another way of getting everyone together to talk about our sport that we love, the sport of playing these sports replay games. And I'm really looking forward to having some guests on and find out what you guys are playing. The guys that are not content providers, the guys that just play these games themselves at their own desk. I want to know why you play, what you play, and how you play it.
So, Sean, as they say, always leave them wanting more. So with your last comment, no outro theme song, looking forward to hearing one. You're telling me to get to work on it. So yeah, right, Bernie? We always leave them wanting more. So you never know, Sean. Guys, good night. Thank you. This was so much fun. See you next month on Bernie's channel.